It's been 60 days since I started this channel, and it's a little birthday today. I'm gonna say thank you guys that you listening to me for this long period. It's sometimes just very hard to listen to me, and I'm gonna say thank you. Let's begin with the news story. The Pendulum. 81st Street. Let him out, please. Yellow. We yelled. The shepherd in blue. A flock of citizenship scrambled out, and another flock scrambled abroad. Ding ding, the cattle cars of the Manhattan elevated rattled away, and John Perkins drifted down the stairway of the station with a released flock. John walked slowly towards his flat, slowly because in his lexicon of his daily life there was no such word as perhaps. There are no surprises awaiting a man who had been married 2 years and lives in a flat. As he walked, John Perkins prof- prophesied prophesied to himself with gloomy and downtorn downtrodden cynicism of the foregone conclusions of the monotonous day. Carrie would meet him at the door with a kiss flavored with cold cream and butterscotch. He would remove his coat, sit upon a macad- macadamist lounge, macadamist, and read in the evening paper of Russians and Japs slaughtered by the deadly linotype. Slaughtered by the deadly linotype. For dinner, there would be hot roast, a salad flavored with a dressing warranted not to crack, not to crack or injure the leader. Stewed, or Hubbard, or Hubbard, stewed Hubbard, or Hubbard, and a bottle of strawberry marmalade, marmalade, blushing at a certificate of chemical purity on its label. After dinner, Katie would show him the new patch in her crazy quilt that the iceman had got for her off the end of his four in hand. At 7:30, they would spread newspapers over the furniture to catch the pieces of plastering that fell when the fat man in the flat overhead began to take his physical culture exercises. Exactly at 8, Hickey and Mooney of the Vaudeville, Vaudeville team unbooked, and the flat across the hall would yelled to the gentle influence of delirium tremens and begin to overturn chairs and the delusion that Hammerstein Hammerstein was pursuing them with a $500 a week contract. Then the giant at the window across the air shaft would get out his flute. The nightly gas leak would still forth to frolic in the highways. The dumb water would slip off its trolley. The janitor would drive Mrs. Zanowitzki's 5 children once more across the Yalu. The lady with the champagne shoes, champagne shoes, and the Skye Terrier would trip downstairs and passed her Thursday name over her bell and letterbox, and the evening routine of the Frogmore flats would be underway. John Perkins knew these things would happen, and he knew that at 8:15 he would summon his nerve and reach for his hat, and that his wife would deliver this speech in a querulous tone. Now, where are you going? I'd like to know, John Perkins. Thought, 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 thought I'd up, I'd drop up to McCloskey's, he would answer, and play a game or two of pool with the fellows. Of late, such had been John Perkins' habit. Of late, such had been John Perkins' habit. At 10 or 11, he would return. Sometimes Katy would be asleep, sometimes waiting up, ready to melt, and the crucible, crucible of her ire, a little more gold planting from the raw steel, chains of chains of Martimony. For these things, Cupid will have to answer when he stands at the bar of justice with his victims from the Frogmore Flats. Tonight, John Perkins encountered a tremendous upheaval of the commonplace when he reached his door. No, Katy was there with her affectionate, confectionate kiss. The three rooms seemed in portentous disorder. All, all about lay her things in confusion. Shoes in the middle of the floor, curling tongues, hair bows, kimonos, powder box jumbled together on dresser and chairs. This was no, this was not Getty's way. With his sinking heart, John saw the comb with the curling cloud of her brown hair among its teeth. Some unusual hurry and perturbation must have possessed her, for she always carefully placed these combings in the little blue vase on the mantel. to be someday formed into the coveted feminine rat, hanging conspicuously to the gas jet by a string was a folded paper. John sized it. It was a note. It was a note from his wife running thus: Dear John, I had a telegram saying mother is very sick. I'm going to take the 4:30 train. Brother Sam is going to meet me at the depot there. There is cold mutton. There's cold mutton in the icebox. I hope it isn't her Quincy again. Pay the milkman 60 cents. She had it bad last spring. Don't forget to write to the company about the gas meter, and your good socks are in the top drawer. I will write tomorrow. Hastily, Katie. Never during their 2 years of matrimony had he and Katie be separated for a night. John read the note over and over in dumbfounded in a dumbfounded way. Here was a break in a routine that had never varied, and it left him dazed. There on the back of a chair hung pathetically empty, pathetically empty and formless. The red wrapper with the black dots that she always wore while getting the meals. Her week her weekday clothes had been tossed here and there in her haste. A little paper bag of her favorite butterscotch lay with its string yet unwound. A daily paper sprawled, sp- sprawled on the floor, gaping rectangularly where a railroad timetable had been clipped from it. Everything in the room spoke of a loss, of an essence gone, of its soul and life departed. John Perkins stood among the dead remains with a queer feeling of desolation in his heart. He began to set he began to set the room tidy as well as he could. When he touched her clothes, a thrill of something like terror went through him. He had never thought what existence would be without Kitty. She had become too thoroughly annealed into his life that she was like an air he breathed, necessary but scarcely noticed. Now, without warning, she was gone, vanished, as completely absent as if she had never existed. Of course, it would be only for a few days, or at most a week or two, but it seemed to him it's very if if it, but it seemed to him as if the very hand of death had pointed a finger at his secure and uneventful home. John dragged the cold mutton from the icebox, made coffee, and sat down to a lonely meal face to face with the strawberry marmalade's shameless certificate of purity. Bright among withdrawn blessings now appeared to him the ghost of pot roast and the salad with tan Polish dressing. His home was dismantled. A queenist, queenist mother-in-law had knocked his lares, and peanuts sky high. After his solitary meal, John sat at a front window. He did not care to smoke. Outside the city roared to him to come join in its dance of folly and pleasure. The night was his. He might go forth unquestioned and thrum the strings of jollity as free as any gay ba- bachelor there. He might carouse and wander and have his fling until dawn if he liked, and there would be no wrathful Katy waiting for him beyond the chalins that held the dregs of his joy. He might play pool with McCloskey, with his roist, roistering friends until Aurora dimmed the electric bulbs off if he choose. The hymen, hymeneal, the hymeneal strings that had curbed him always when a Frogmore Flats had pulled upon him were loosened. Loosened. Katy was gone. John Perkins was not accustomed to analyzing his emotions, but as he sat in his Katy ber, bereft 10x 20, 10, 10x12 parlor, he hit unerringly, unerringly upon the keynote of his discomfort. He knew now that Katy was necessary to his happiness. His feeling for her, lulled into unconsciousness by the due round of domesticity, had been sharply stirred by the loss of her presence. Has has it not been dined, dined, dined into us by proverb and sermon and fable, that we never prize the music till the sweet-voiced bird has flown, or in other no less florid and true utterances with utterances. I'm a double dumb, mused John Perkins. The way I've been treating Katie, of very of every night playing pool and dumbing and booming with the boys instead of staying home with her. The poor girl here, all alone, with nothing to amuse her, and me acting this that way. John Perkins, you're the worst kind of a shine. I'm going to make up. I'm going to make it up for the little girl. I'll take her out and let her see some amusements. Amusement. And I'll cut out the McCloskey gang right from this minute. Yes, there was the city roaring outside for Jordan Perkins to come dance in the train of momos. At the McCloskeys, the boys were knocking the balls idly into the pockets against the hour for the nightly game. But no primrose way nor clicking cue could woo the remorseful soul of Perkins. The bereft. The thing that was his, lightly held and half scorned, had been taken away from him, and he wanted it. Backward to a certain man named Adam, whom the cherubim bounced from the orchard, could Perkins, the remorseful trace his descent. Near the right hand of John Perkins stood a chair. On the back of it stood Katie's blue shirtwaist. It still retained something of her contour. Midway of the sleeves were fine, individual wrinkles, made by the movements of her arms in working for his comfort and pleasure. A delicate but impelling odor of bluebells came from it. John took it and looked long and soberly at the unresponsive grenadine. Katy had never been unresponsive. Tears, yes, tears came into John Perkins' eyes. When she came back, things would be different. He would make up for all his neglect. What was life without her? The door opened. Katy walked in, carrying a little hang satchel. John stared at her stupidly. My, I'm glad to get back, said Katie. Ma wasn't sick to amount to anything. Sam was at the depot and said she just had a little spell and got all right soon after they telegraphed. So I took the next train back. I'm just dying for a cup of coffee. Nobody heard the click and the rattle of the cogwheels as the third floor front of the Frogmore Flats buzzed its machinery back into the order of things. A band slipped, a spring was touched, the gear was adjusted, and the wheels revolved in their old orbits. John Perkins looked at the clock. It was 8:15. 15 past 8. He reached for his hat and walked to the door. Now, where are you going? I'd like to know, John Perkins, asked Katy in a querulous tone. Thought I would drop up to McCloskey, said John, and play a game or two of pool with the fellows. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to me today. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.